Laryn Weaver is going to give you some vision for your business tonight. But before I even bring her up here, I want to brag about her for just a second. Because I did some research on this girl, and I want to tell you what she's done. How many of you are brand new jewelers, like it started in the past 6 months? Okay, I want to just tell you when she started, this is what she did, all right? Are you ready? She started in January of 2003. Now, she had other direct sales experience, I will be truthful, so she knew a little bit about the business. I did the OP with her. I drove over to Pennsylvania, because remember, that's where I was going to sponsor, not in Ohio. I drove there to do the OP. She was very cynical. She didn't believe me, and she was kind of like, that was kind of the look I would get from her. But it's so funny how you see things over the years. We were talking about that a lot today. But when she came in, she had a very successful business in another direct sales company, and she was already booked out for a very long time because she did a lot of shows for the other company. But she started in January of 2003, and listen to what she accomplished in 2003 in the first 12 months of her business. She accomplished the 25 Home Show Club. We've talked about why that's important this year, right? Why the 25 Home Show Club is so important. She became a builder and a designer by Raleigh, so that would have been by July that year, the first 6 months of the business. She also achieved the amethyst, the sapphire, the ruby, and the emerald in her first year in the business. Is that not amazing? So you know she was doing a lot of jewelry shows. In fact, she did 110 jewelry shows her first year in the business, okay? Isn't that amazing? 110, all right? So now it's her second year in the business. She did 122 shows. Let me back up to her first year in the business. While she was doing 110 shows, she sponsored 15 people. She brought 15 people personally into the business. Isn't that amazing? Let me hear it for her. Woo! All right. Second year in the business, 2004, she did 122 shows, okay? She sponsored 14 people. All right. Okay, 2005, her third year, she cut back to just 80 shows. But she did sponsor 13 people while she was at it, okay? All right. And now to just back up a little bit, so those were her first 3 years in the business. She was building a very strong foundation. Now I have to be truthful, when I was just back in Pittsburgh a couple weeks ago training her people, and those people that she has over there have phenomenal business. They're very solid in their business, very strong diamond leadership. And you know what? Those are the people that she sponsored back in those years right there. And they have been with her that long. They're great jewelers, great leaders. And then she started in 2003, she became a designer. In 2004, she became a 1 diamond. In 2006, she became a 2 diamond. In 2007, she became a 3 diamond. For those of you who are new, 3 diamonds have 6 designers on their team. In 2008, she became a 4 diamond, which made her a senior leader. In 2009, she became a 5 diamond. 2010, she became a 6 diamond. And in 2011, she became a 7 diamond. Isn't that amazing? So what my point in telling you all of this is she worked really, really hard for 3 years, okay? And then she has also, I forgot to mention, she moved from Pennsylvania, picked up her 4 small children, and relocated them to Ohio to start her business in Ohio. And then she stayed there for a couple years and just, 2 years? Almost 2 years ago, she relocated again to South Carolina. She finally got smart and went south, okay? And so she has started her business from scratch 2 times. Isn't that amazing? And her leaders back there are still obviously doing very well. She has achieved the 500 Home Show Club. How many have you done total? Do you remember?
Almost 7.
Almost 700 jewelry shows. So it's amazing when you think about that over a span of 10 years. That's on average at least 70 shows a year. She still is a 7 diamond designer. She travels all over the place and she trains a lot of different places. People are always, she's in a very high demand for speaking because she's amazing, as you're going to soon find out. But she has had 300 people on her team, and she has obviously 28 designers because that's what it takes to be a 7 diamond designer. And in Premier, for those of you who are new, a 1 diamond has 1 designer, a 2 diamond has to add 2 more, a 3 diamond has to add 3 more on top of that, so that's 6 designers. A 4 diamond has to have 10 designers. A 5 diamond has to have 15 designers. A 6 diamond has to have 21. I am feeling really smart right now, just saying. And a 7 diamond has to have 28. So it's not, the mere jump in diamonds is a lot harder than what it actually really looks like when I just say it out loud. So I just wanted to kind of give you that analogy. And just to show you this, I printed this off of her activity reports. For those of you who are familiar with it, it took 3 pages. Can you even imagine? 3 pages to get all of her activity out here. There is not anything that the woman hasn't done. Whatever you desire to achieve or attain has already been done by somebody, and she is the one that's going to just share a little bit about her. Now, I've known Laryn for obviously a long time, since she started in Premiere, and I've seen her change a lot, as we all have changed and evolved. And she has always been a great speaker. She's always been a very hard worker, very hard work ethic. The girl, she has the whatever it takes attitude. Whatever it takes, she's going to get it done. But I love the person that she is as my friend. I love the fact that she does add value to everybody's lives that she touches, and I am just beyond thrilled for you guys to all hear. So give her a warm Illinois welcome.
Long legs. I can help with that big step right there. That is really hard to listen to. It is really hard to sit there and listen to that. It just, I mean, I know I did it, but this is just really hard to just shut up, okay? Just let me start talking. Okay, I'm trying to think of, now you said all that, I feel like I should just stand here. So did y'all understand? Okay, there are two things. We're going to talk about culture, defining your own personal culture. And then we're going to talk about defining team culture. So I didn't turn around when she said how many are new. How many of you have people on your team? So whether that's one person or 100. So about half. Okay. So about half of you are new jewelers and without jewelers, and the other half have. Okay. Well, good. How many of you have read this book? Okay, we'll write that down if you haven't, because this will be a good book to read. Because we're going to talk a little bit about it. I'm going to kind of reference it. I'm not really going to explain it to you, but we are going to talk about that a little bit.
What's the title?
It is Soup.
That's it, just soup.
Soup.
Okay.
John Gordon.
John Gordon.
It says a recipe to nourish your team and culture. Soup. But I don't think you can nourish the culture around you unless you have nourished your own culture. And so you have to start with you and the culture that you're creating yourself before you're going to influence anybody else's. And what Donna just shared, when I came into Premiere, yes, I was very cynical. I'd spent 7 years with another company that wasn't exactly as people-focused as Premiere is, so I was a little edgy. And I didn't want to do this business. I didn't wear jewelry. I didn't like jewelry. I didn't like women. And so it was really So the fact that God really called me in to do this, I wasn't happy about it. So I went to the first rally, regional, did not want to be there, and Donna has a picture to prove it.
And it's pretty bad.
I mean, it was bad. But I'm grateful for obedience, because when you listen, God blesses. And so here I am 10 years later, and I am grateful that I took that step. The story in the book Soup talks about a company that's not doing well, and the person who comes in and has to revive this company, and the things that she needs to do as new CEO, and what she has to change within herself before she can begin to change that within the culture around her. So that's kind of, just to give you a backdrop of the story. Donna pretty much shared my personal story in a nutshell. When I started Premiere, I came into it wanting to build a big business. A lot of people come in and say, I just hope to make my investment back. How many of you are sitting here? I hope I just make an extra $500 a month. Okay, I did not come in with that attitude. I came in and said, how quickly can I make 6 figures? I mean, that was my mentality. So I came in already believing that it was possible. Why? Because there were other people making it. And they're no different than me. They've just been doing it longer. So I want to encourage you that you are no different from me. I've just been doing it longer. And if it's happening for somebody else, there's no reason that it can't happen for you. You just have to decide that that's the culture you want to create. And so that was, when I came in, that was my intention. So I did come in, I knew I had to book shows. I knew I had to hold shows, and I knew I had to sponsor people. I didn't know what to wear. I didn't know anything about jewelry. I didn't know what a lobster claw, toggle closure, I didn't know any of that language. My first show, I took 14 pieces of jewelry. 14. There were 15 guests. They took turns. Okay. So for me, it was never about the jewelry. It has never been about the jewelry. It is about the business. It's about the opportunity, and it's about the women. It is about being able to help women change their circumstances, to help women become the people that they were created to be. And this business allows us the platform to be able to do that, to speak into the lives of women at our shows, and as we sponsor people, to speak into the lives of the women that God brings into our lives through this business. So that is what I love about what we do. The jewelry is just a way to get into somebody's house. So I've never, and even to this point, I enjoy wearing it. Do you like my combination, by the way? Yeah. I've really grown a lot in the last 2 years. I had to borrow a bracelet from Donna because I didn't bring any. So it's still not about the jewelry. I enjoy it. I love wearing it. I love helping women feel pretty. But getting past that and into what this business can really be, and who you can become in this business because of the culture Premier has created. Premier has a culture that's about serving. Premier has a culture that's about honoring people. Premier has already built that within our corporate structure. But within your own business, you need to decide what kind of culture you want to create. So right from the beginning, I set the bar high. I need to do 15 to 20 shows a month. So when my jewelers came in, I want to ask you this question. If your people on your team did half what you do, how successful would they be? Because if you are if you're the leader, people aren't going to do what you do. They're going to do half of what you do and think they're doing well. So if you're only doing one show a month, how successful are the people going to be that you're trying to lead? So for me, if I come in and I say I'm going to do 15 to 20 shows a month, and I have my jewelers like, I don't think I could do more than 10. Well, that's all right. Okay, do you see that difference? What kind of culture do you create? So for me, coming in, I want to do 15 to 20 shows. Now, the first year I went to Rally, I had my ribbons down to here. I made all this stuff. People were like, wow, congratulations, how'd you do that? I said, I don't know what that is. It was President's Circle, and I didn't know what that meant because how did you do it? What's motivating you? I didn't have any other income. I have 4 people in my house that like to eat daily. Like it doesn't matter how many times I feed them, they eat again the next day. So I need to keep selling jewelry in order to keep feeding these people. That was my motivation. We made designer in June, and Glenn quit his job in September. He quit his job because we knew that this is what we wanted to do. We wanted to be able to do this as quickly as possible, and it was either hire somebody to help me, buy a second car so that I could run during the day and do the stuff that I needed to do, or he just stays home and we run the business together and we do all the stuff that we need to do. So with 11 people on our team, Glenn quit his job and we went full-time with Premier. We lived on this income. You can support yourself on this income. So don't think, well, I have to get to a certain place. People say, well, what happened if you lost shows? Like, what happened if you had cancellations? What happens if you couldn't get any bookings? Well, then you go get them. But what if you couldn't? You do. But what if you can't? You have to. Do you see how that changes it? It's really motivating. I need a bill to pay. I need the mortgage. I need to go grocery shopping. And that motivated me because I didn't have a choice. When it's just fun money, I guess I won't have much fun this month. See how that's not as motivating. So creating something, tying something to this income, making it a need, provides a discipline that most people don't have. Most of us are not very self-disciplined. We need somebody else. We need accountability. A mortgage is a good accountability. 4 hungry mouths is a good accountability because that doesn't change whether it's January or July. You need to make the same amount of money in January as you do in November. So you need to make sure that your calendar stays the same. So he quit his job in September. That was a really rough first year. Financially, maritally, relationally. I was in my stuff. Trying to organize and tell me how to do things. It was a hard year, and I know that's not for everybody. And so I will never go anywhere and tell everybody you need to quit your job to make this work. That is not what I'm saying. This is my story, it doesn't have to be yours. I just want you to know what's possible. So everything that I say to you today, I want you to listen through your own filter and decide, is this something that works for me? I will never go in anywhere and say you have to do it this way or you're never going to make it, because that's just not true. All right, but this is what worked for me. And if you want to think that maybe possibly someday you could have more than you have right now, then you're going to have to be willing at some point to take your feet off of the safety and just go for it. At some point you're going to have to do that. We did a little earlier than most, which made it a little rough, but you know what? I wanted quickly. I'd already been in direct sales for 7 years, and I didn't want to wait 7 more before I could get to the point. My kids were all little. They were 5 and 4 and 23 months and 6 months or something like that when I started. My goal was to be in senior leadership, making 6 figures before they were all in school full time. So Max was 6 months. I had 4 years and 6 months. And in January, before he started kindergarten, we promoted to 4 Diamond. That was my goal. I'm home with them all day. I am more than happy to leave them home with Daddy all night. Hi, honey. You know what? They have a great relationship with their dad. My oldest 3 girls, girl, they adore their dad. He is so close with them. It is so healthy for them because they have a relationship with their dad because I wasn't always there. It created independence in my children. It showed them the work ethic. I didn't just tell them I went to work. I showed them what I did when I went to work. So a lot of times when we have small kids, we think, well, I just want to be home with them, and when they get bigger, I'll do this. When they get bigger, the issues just get bigger. I think they need me more now as teenagers than they did when they were this big. Anybody can pour a glass of juice, but only mama can have certain conversations with your 16-year-old. So whatever phase of life you're in, don't think the next one's going to be easier or better or simpler. You either decide to do it or decide not to do it, but don't wait for the perfect storm to come around, because that's just never going to happen. So Glenn quit his job, we got started, and then Donna read the rest of what happened after that. You hold shows, and you sponsor people. And then you hold more shows, and then you sponsor people. And then you hold more shows, and you
sponsor people.
Well, there we go, I'm done. That's my training, because that's all we do. And you do it every day, and you do it whether people are nice to you or not, and you do it whether people hang up on you or cancel or whatever happens. You hold shows, and you sponsor people, and you hold shows. But then I got 2 people on my team, and I need to help them. You know the best thing you can do to help them? Go book shows, sponsor people, and go book more shows. You turn it around going, but I'm going to help them. You need to be the leader out front, moving forward. If they want to come with you, they'll come with you. But we turn around and start managing our people and lose sight of the fact that we're supposed to be building a business, which means we hold shows, we sponsor people. I didn't sponsor 7 and then decide I needed to be a manager. I sponsored 7 more in the next 6 months. Because I know those first 7 aren't going to stay. I have 1 from my original 7. I have 2 from my next 7. So if I hadn't continued to sponsor, I wouldn't be here. I'd still be a designer, maybe a builder, trying to get my status back. Because I decided I was going to help these 7 build a business. Instead of going out, holding more shows, and sponsoring more people. It really is that simple. It's not easy, but it really is that simple. All right, so that's a little bit about my personal passions are doing what I'm doing right now. I actually have another business that I do. It's called Grace Unfolding, and I travel and do women's retreats, and I do one-on-one coaching, and it's larynweaver.com. You can all check that out. That's what I love doing. I love teaching. I love working with women, helping people to figure out what their gifts are and how to best glorify God by using those gifts. That's what I love to do. I love that Premier gives me a really great place to be able to do that, because I'm always around women. So being able, for me, that's the culture, that's who I am. You need to figure out what your blueprint is. Who are you? You're not me, you're not Kelly, you're not Donna. Who are you, and what gift do you have? What is your strength? What is your giftedness? And how can you, within this environment of Premier, within the culture that Premier has created, what is it that you bring that someone else doesn't necessarily bring? You have to tap into what that is. I am successful at my shows, not because I'm great with the jewelry. I usually let somebody else there who's better at it put it on everybody else. So it has nothing to do with my jewelry. I don't do games. I don't give away a whole bunch of stuff. I don't do a whole bunch of different activities. I have no fluff and poster. Nothing comes with me except me and my jewelry. And I only bring about 120 pieces. So I don't bring, the catalog. What makes me successful at my shows is that I show up to my shows as Laryn. I don't try to show up to my shows as Donna. I don't go listen to a great training and then go, oh, I'm not successful because I need to be her. I go into my shows as Laryn. So go into your shows as you, because there's someone at that show that God wants you to talk to. That's why she's at your show. So you need to decide who you are and what culture you're going to create. What do you want to be known for? What do you want to be known for with your own people? What do you want to be known for among your hostesses? Who are you? And what kind of culture are you creating? In the book, they talk about stirring the pot, because it's soup. Okay, just want to make sure you all picked up on that little thing there. All right. No matter how carefully chefs follow the same recipe, the final product always varies a little bit. Even if 2 chefs do everything exactly the same way, the meal will always come out a little differently. Who stirs the pot has an impact on what's in the pot. If you've been in the business long enough, you know that there are a whole bunch of senior leaders and they're really not alike. If you look at the executive directors, they are all so different, personality-wise, age-wise, style-wise, temperament-wise. How did they all get there? They will all tell you different things. Well, this is the activity I do, and this is the way I do my show. Who stirs the pot makes the big difference. It's not the activity, it's not the booking activity, it's not the sponsoring activity, it's not the specific thing you have to do, it's you. And you can take any of those activities that anybody says is the best thing going, and if it's you, and it becomes you, it will work for you. And if it doesn't, it won't. It's not the activity that's going to book shows. It's the person doing the activity that's going to book shows. It's the person stirring the pot. The love and energy we invest into our life and work determines the quality of it. The love we share in raising our children, or developing employees, or helping a customer impacts the final product. The love, or lack of love, we give ourselves and share with others will determine whether life is sweet or sour. It determines the fabric and texture of our relationships and how others perceive and receive us. When we love our kids, they feel it. When we stir the pot at work with love, our customers and colleagues notice. Just as soup is a reflection of the soup maker, our lives, careers, and businesses are the reflection of the love and energy that we put forth. So who's stirring your pot? Who do you allow to stir your pot? Do you allow the media, the news, to stir your pot? Is that who determines your attitude, your temperament, what your whole persona is? Do you allow external circumstances in your home, things that may be issues going on, your other job that you may have? Or do you take control of your pot and you filter what's going into your soup? It's so critical. This is so critical because there's so much training out there. You know, you need to come training, so applaud yourself. Way to be here. Okay, you know why you need to be here? It has nothing to do with learning how to do a jewelry show. Because you know, you could sit home in your pajamas and you could Google Premier Jewelry Show, and you could watch whatever you want to watch. You could watch jewelry combinations. You could watch last month's training from somebody else that did something else and posted something. I mean, there is so much out there. 10 years ago, Donna would send me cassette tapes with the training from 10 years earlier. That was our big training. So if you wanted to learn how to do a jewelry show 10 years ago, you better get to training and figure out how to do it. That's not the case anymore because we have all this great technology. So that you don't come here for that. You come here to be reminded about what it is you're a part of. You come here to connect with other people who are trying to become better people. You come here to connect with other people who are also trying to build the business, become successful, spur each other on, be an encouragement. You plug in, not so that you can learn something new, like how to do this necklace. And although you may learn that while you're here, that's not why you plug in. Because we all need encouragement. We all need to be reminded that what we're doing is a good thing. So don't get caught up in, well, I didn't learn anything new. It's kind of like when people say they don't go to church because they don't get anything out of it. What are you bringing to it? Because if you're not bringing any spirit with you, you're not going to be taking any spirit with you when you leave. So when you come in here, what are you bringing? What do you bring? What is your culture going to do to affect the culture of the people that you're sitting with? Okay, 3 things about your pot. Your attitude, your focus, and your level of engagement. Now, I get so tired of the attitude talks. It's important. It's one of the most important things. I just get tired of it. You have to have a good attitude. You have to, yeah, we know. Yeah, that's really not working anymore. I know I have to have a good attitude. Stop telling me that. But it starts to feel like that after a while. So when you talk about having a good attitude, there are 3 things for each one of those: education, prayer, and being plugged in. So for your attitude, are you a learner? Like, are you constantly trying to learn something new to become a better you? Because if you're not, you're going to struggle in this business. If you are not being challenged, if you are not growing, stretching, allowing yourself to be changed, you're going to struggle in the business because you can't get to the next place without stretching yourself. So education is important in maintaining a good attitude. You need to know what you're doing. If you're brand new and you sat here tonight as a guest, or you're just signed up in the last week, you don't know very much about Premier. You don't know very much maybe about the industry. You don't know very much about Andy and Joan, about their history, about what we're about. You don't know much maybe about the marketing plan. What are you going to do? You're going to just hope it comes in by osmosis over time? Or are you going to intentionally go forward and say, I need to find out this stuff? I just invested money in this business. Now I need to invest some time in this business. People want to invest their money and then they get really mad when they don't make their money back, but they didn't invest any time. You have to do both. So education will help you have a better attitude. Don't you feel more confident when you know what you're doing? It doesn't matter what it is. If you have children, think about the first child that came home, poor thing. You know, by the fourth kid, I mean, I was, doing this, baby on hip, doing 10,000 other things. First baby was like, okay, well, you might be there right now. I don't want to screw up my first show. You really can't. Like, you can't kill people at a jewelry show. Don't worry about it. Show up, beat yourself, have fun, screw up, break jewelry, tell them it's guaranteed. Like, just be there. You can't really screw this up that badly. You just have to keep doing it, and over time it's going to get better. But educating yourself about the business, educating yourself about the industry, educating yourself will help you to have a better attitude because you're more confident. When you educate yourself and you don't get stuck here, like, oh no, I had a cancellation. I'm terrible at this. This business sucks. I'm never doing it again. Okay, well, oh, you mean other people have that happen? Oh, I thought it was just me. Yes, everybody, including me. I was telling Dawn I had a $64 show last week. Woo! I know, it's impressive. They didn't know who I was. That's what the problem was, Laryn, that jewelry lady, just like everybody else is. $68, $64 show. It happens to everybody. Educate yourself. It helps your attitude. Educate yourself, it helps your focus. You have to know what you're doing, why you're doing it. Oh, I'm just going to sign up for this thing and see what happens. And nothing's going to happen. It doesn't work that way. You have to decide what it is you want to do. Why do you want to do it? Why are you sitting here? Why did you spend your time on a Monday night to come here and listen to me? What do you want? Nobody can help you if you don't know that. Your upline cannot help you if you don't know what it is that you're trying to do. Do you understand how that makes no sense? And yet, so many people come in like that. Lead me. Where? I don't know. Somewhere. So having a focus, what do you want out of this business? And it doesn't have to be what I wanted. You don't have to come in and think I want to make 6 figures. You can come in and say, I want out of the house once a week. That is my main focus. I need 1 day a week out of the house in grown-up clothes. And if that is all, if that motivates you and gets you going, then amen, good for you. Then you are successful in this business, if that's your focus. But then don't give up on it and say, oh, well, I guess I really didn't need a day out this week. Yes, you did. That's why you came in. So keep yourself educated. Keep your focus. And the third one is your level of engagement. You all came here, paid your $5, you sat down. How many of you are really here? And how many of you are sort of in and out? I keep going back to church because that just seems to relate.
You're in a church.
Maybe that's it. People go to church, but are you really there? Are you thinking about where you're going after and the grocery list and the thing you didn't do and did I leave the iron on? And oh, what did he say? Engage with where you are. Be present to what you're doing. Whatever you are doing, be present to it. One of the biggest reasons that women are so frazzled is because we think that we can do 10 things at once. You know we really can't. Your brain can occupy one thought at a time. That is a scientifically proven fact. Your brain can only hold one thought at a time. So if you think you're thinking about 4 things at once, you're not. You're doing this. Which is why you feel like this all the time. One thought at a time is all you can maintain. So if you are trying to make dinner, looking through a book bag, answering a phone while you're texting on the other one, stirring dinner, getting ready to go to your show, and you get in the car and go, oh my gosh, I'm always so frazzled. Seriously, and you wonder why. One thing at a time. If you are sitting with somebody having a conversation, then have a conversation with that person, not this person. Not that other person, not looking past her. Look in her eyes. Have a conversation with her. Be present to her. Be present to your children. Be present to your spouse. Be present to your hostess. Instead of worrying about where you need to go next and what you need to do and how else you need to get there. That's why we're frazzled. Be engaged. Your level of engagement is huge. How many of you would like to say you work out? That's a better way to phrase it. How many of you like to pretend that you exercise? Okay, I'll be in that category. Because we can put on our really cute outfit, we can go to the gym, and we can walk around with our water bottle, and we can exercise. Or we could go work out. There's a really big difference in that. Be engaged with what you're doing. If you're going to do this business, do this business. And if you don't really want to do it, you just want to play with it, then admit it. I just want to play with this business. Don't feel like you have to say, I really want to build this, when inside you're going, I really don't, but I think I'm supposed to say that. If you want to play with it, you're allowed, but own that. And if you want to build it, then build it, and own that, and what comes with it. Quit being in between. Be engaged with what you want out of this business, and then go get it. You have to be an initiator, you have to educate yourself, it's all out there and available. Your leaders are here to lead you to what you need to do, not to give it to you. Dawn and I talked today for an hour. I'll get on my soapbox if I get on this, so I'm only stay here for a second. The whole entitlement spoon feeding thing that goes on. We spoon feed people things and then wonder why they are incapable of doing it on their own. We spoon feed our children until they're 18 and then wonder why we have a whole bunch of adult children. Because no one ever taught them to do it for themselves. Be responsible for yourself. Go get the information. Well, my upline's not doing what I need. Who cares? You're an adult. There's other information. There's other people. Go be an initiator. Go find it. She's not giving me what I need. Well, then go find it someplace else. Instead of trying to get something, it's like trying to get, what is that, blood from a stone? Is that what that is? Okay, so education, prayer. Whatever it is that you're doing, whether it's premier or child rearing or kid raising, husband's marriage, I don't care. If you're not praying, you're operating on like half a cylinder. And that if you're not a person of faith, if that's not something that balances out your life, then I would encourage you to ask why it's not and where along the lines did you separate from that. For me, that is my entire core. That's who I am. If I don't get my hour in the morning, I get up, I take my son to school, and drop him off at school at 7:45. I go to church from 7:45 to 8:30. I journal, I pray, I have quiet time from 8:30 to 9:15 is mass. At 9:15 I go work out, and I'm home by 10 o'clock. That's my morning. If I don't do that, my day, I don't work. I don't function well. I need that center time. I need to hear what God wants me to do today. I don't have time to do that. You don't have time not to do that. There's a great quote. I just wrote it somewhere yesterday. Hold on, I'm going to get it. St. Francis de Sales said, everybody should should spend a half an hour a day with God, unless you're really busy. And then you should spend an hour. We say we are too busy. And then we wonder why life just doesn't ever come together. This is so, center yourself. Spend time in prayer. Pray about your business. Pray about your marriage. Pray about your kids. Pray about your calling. Pray about the blueprint that God put in your heart. Pray about what He wants you to do. Lord, what would you have me do today? And then see if it's a little bit more successful than the thing you try. I would almost guarantee you it's going to be. Maybe not easier, but definitely more successful. So education, prayer, and plugged in. And you're here, so you are plugged in. You know, I hate saying this stuff at training. You know, you should come to training because, well, you're already here. But I don't know where else to say that. You all know the value of plugging into other people. You have to plug into an energy source. One energy source is God. The other energy source is people. We are people who were designed for community. It is not good for man to be alone. I will make someone who is fit to help him. It is not good for us to be alone, to be isolated. And our world is desperately trying to isolate us. Do you know that you could go to the post office, the bank, grocery shopping, get gas, go home, and never speak to another person? Because we've become so automated, we have eliminated human interaction because it's just easier. It's really messy when you have to deal with people and you have to talk to them. But that's what our world has done. And so we become more and more isolated. We encourage women to stay at home with their children. And then we stick them out in the suburbs in this great big house all by themselves with little people who don't really think. And then we wonder why they're all stir crazy. We are created for community. It's what keeps us accountable. It's what gives us perspective instead of thinking that this is how the world is. So plug into community makes a huge difference. So those things, your focus, your attitude, and your level of engagement are elevated by your education, your prayer life, and being plugged in the community. Whenever I go and train, everybody's like, well, what is your big secret to being successful? And they think I'm going to tell them my magic booking activity, my magic sponsoring activity, or what I did to get so many shows. Nothing different than anything you've ever heard. I've done some of this, done a little bit of that. That's not the trick to this business. It's not the key that's going to make you successful. If I just could find the next, latest, and greatest booking activity, it will change my business and I will suddenly be successful. Not true. The thing that's going to make you successful, you already have it. You have to uncover it. Find out what it is through these things that we just talked about. Do you believe that? What do you believe? What do you think? And what do you want? We say all the time, people ask, well, what's the hardest part? Why do you think people aren't successful at this business? What do you think is the one common denominator for why people aren't successful? It's right between here and here.
They're lazy.
That's your answer. Donna's answer is lazy. It's between here and here. Between your ears. People psych themselves out. I can't. They get discouraged. They let people talk trash at them. They let their inner tapes keep playing. They screw up their own minds. This is where we fail in this business. This is where we fail in most things. It's our own psyche that kills us, not the external things. So choosing your thoughts. This is actually my book. My little plug here. It's called Living Intentionally, How to Live Life on Purpose. And I do a lot with your thoughts and your words. If we can't control our thought life, there is no way we're going to be able to do anything else productive. Watch your thoughts, they become words. Watch your words, they become actions. Watch your actions, they become your habits. Watch your habits, they become your character. Watch your character, it becomes your destiny. Watch your thoughts, it becomes your destiny. And yet, how much stuff do we think about every day that is just really not sending us in the place that we want to go? When my daughter Jessica was 5, she was learning how to ride her bike without training wheels. Glenn would run behind her, as practically every parent has done since the beginning of time, holding the seat until she caught her balance and could take off. Unfortunately, when she reached the end of the road, Glenn would have to go get her and go through the process again because she couldn't turn around. Jess would not turn while riding because she was afraid of falling. We cheered and encouraged, and yet every time she came to the end of the road, she would stop. After several attempts, she cried and cried that she just couldn't do it. I can't turn my bike. I can't, she would say over and over again. Finally, I realized her problem. Her thoughts, her beliefs, and her words were determining her actions and her abilities. We spent the next 10 minutes talking. She's 5. I'm a little over. Anyway, 5 minutes talking about how she could turn her bike. I had her repeat out loud over and over again, I can turn my bike. I remember standing there in her little face, making her say it, I can turn my bike. I can turn my bike. As she set off down the street again, I'm yelling behind her, I can turn my bike! When she reached the end of the road, she turned and began riding back to us. We use that lesson learned repeatedly in our house. Believing in something deeply does impact our actions and our destinies. Jessica's personal experience of truth has made that more real for her. Unfortunately, I thought that would change her forever. No, but we keep doing the same stinking lesson. I can't swallow that pill. I can swallow that pill. It doesn't matter what I'm trying to do with her. That's her mentality. I can't do it. She psychs herself out of everything. How much do we do that? I can't book another show. I can't make one more call. I can't talk to one more person. I can't go through this again. I can't. You're right. And that becomes our reality. What we say starts with what we think, and then we say it, and then it becomes it. So we have to go all the way back to the source, and it's what we think. The mistake we try to make is we try to change our behavior. That's impossible. Because our behavior is so rooted in our habits and our psyche that all we do is become frustrated with ourselves. And then we beat ourselves up more in our thoughts about how awful we are that we couldn't do it. You have to change it at the source, and the source is in your thoughts. Excuse me. Emotional contagion. Whatever your emotion is, it's going to get caught. So what are you infecting people with? What do you infect your home with? What do you infect your marriage with? What do you infect your shows with? What is your emotional contagion? When I leave to go out of town, and this last time is when this became apparent, my youngest daughter, who is going to be 13, she said, "Oh, I don't want you to go." I said, "Honey, I have to go to work." You know the conversation, if you have children, how that goes. Mom has to go to work. I'll be home on Tuesday. I said, "I'm going to miss you too." She said, "Well, I am going to miss you, but that's not why I don't want you to go." And I said, "Okay, why do you want me to go?" "Because Daddy turns into grumpy gills when you're not here." Glenn's sitting right there, and I said, "Is this true?" "Do you turn into grumpy gills?" And he went, "Yeah, I do." So it became this running joke in the house. Because he turns into Mr. Grumpy Gills, like he's going to kill me for saying this in front of you people, because he turns into Mr. Grumpy Gills when I leave, the entire environment of the house, the other 4 people who have to live there, are miserable. Because he's the daddy, and he's being grumpy, and so they all just sort of cower on the other side of the house till Mama comes home. What do you bring? What are you infecting? Are you Grumpy Gills? Are you Grumpy Gills at your shows, trying to get something out of these people because you had a bad day and somebody better buy something? I can remember going to my shows thinking, "Lord, I really want to serve these people, but while I'm serving them, can they please buy $600 worth of jewelry?" But you still need to go. I don't care what, you have to bring the attitude that you want at your show. If you want them to have a good time, your goal is to have them have a good time, not you. Your goal is to make them enjoy themselves. Your goal is to make them feel good about themselves, not you. This isn't so you can stroke and feel good and feed your ego. This is so that those women there can leave feeling good and stroked and lifted up. So you have to go with the intention to lift these other women up. And if you're Grumpy Gills, that's going to be really hard. So whatever, if you're, okay, we're talking about your culture, the culture you're creating. We're talking about your thoughts. You start with what you're thinking. What are you plugged into? What are you listening to? What are you educating yourself with? And then ultimately, what do you choose to be? You can wake up and choose to be grumpy, or you can wake up and choose to be happy. It is absolutely a choice. It's a choice to love someone. It's a choice to be mean to someone. It's a choice to smile. It's a choice to frown. It is a choice. We think it's not, particularly women, but I don't feel like it. You don't feel like it because you're thinking wrong thoughts. So I want you to everybody close your eyes for a second. I want you to think about something really icky that's happened this week. Like something, whether it was something with your spouse or your kids, something with work, something that was just not good. It made you feel depressed or angry or frustrated, and you just get that icky pit in the center of your stomach. And just think about it. Think about what happened. Think about maybe what that person said to you, or think about what the situation was, what the misunderstanding was. Just think about that and all of the words that were said and the emotion that came with it. How are you feeling right now?
Yucky.
Yucky. You were all laughing a couple minutes ago. You probably don't feel quite as much like laughing right now. What happened? What changed?
I thought.
That's the only thing in the entire room that changed, is what you were thinking about, and you became quieter. You all kind of went like this. You could feel the energy draining out of the room because all of you were thinking about yucky stuff. Now, I'm not going to leave you there. Close your eyes again. I want you to think about your favorite place in the world. Your favorite place. It could be a place you've never been. It could be a place you go all the time. It could be in your room. It could be at the beach. Your favorite place. And I want you to think about your favorite person in the world.